Thrown out with her baby, she had no hope until a millionaire took off his jacket. Before we go further, please ensure to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting stories like this one. She stood on the cold pavement, soaked to the bone, with a baby in her arms, and not a soul to turn to. Her name was Emily, and in a single moment, she lost everything. Moments earlier, she'd still believed she had time. Time to fix things, to explain, to beg. But the door behind her shut hard. The kind of shut that doesn't open again. Rain hit her like punishment. Her baby, just a few weeks old, let out a cry so sharp it cut through the storm. She tightened her grip, whispering his name like it might comfort them both. Noah. Emily didn't know where to go. She hadn't planned for exile. She wore no coat. Her shoes were canvas, soaked through in minutes. Her bag held a single bottle, a half-empty formula packet, and 2 diapers. That was it. She turned down the street, keeping her head low as headlights sprayed puddles across the sidewalk. People passed. Umbrellas swerved to avoid her. She wasn't invisible, just inconvenient. Every step forward felt heavier. She tried a nearby pharmacy, hoping to find warmth, or maybe someone kind. But the lights were off, closed for the night. She found a dry patch under a crumbling bus stop. The bench was wet, but she sat anyway. Noah was cold. His lips trembled as he whimpered against her chest. She looked down at him, guilt burning hotter than the rain was cold. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I should have known." There was no message from her mother. No call back from her sister. They'd warned her when she moved in with Jake. They were right. But being right didn't feed a baby. She thought about walking to the shelter downtown, but it was miles away. And even if she made it, would they let her in this late? A car slowed as it passed, then kept going. She didn't blame them. Who would stop for a soaked girl with a screaming infant? Then someone did. A man in a dark coat paused a few feet away. No umbrella, no rush to get inside. Just standing there, watching. Emily tensed. She'd seen enough bad news in the eyes of strangers. But this man wasn't staring. He was studying the baby. Not her. The baby. He stepped closer, slowly. Removed his jacket without a word and crouched down. "Is he all right?" he asked, voice low but clear. Emily didn't answer right away. She couldn't tell if he meant well or if this was just another kind of trouble. Then he gently wrapped his jacket around Noah. It was dry, warm, and smelled faintly of leather and cedar. "He's cold," the man said. "Come on. Let me get you out of the rain." She stared at him. His shoes were polished, his shirt crisp. Everything about him said wealth. Everything about her said, "Don't trust me." Still, she stood. They crossed the street to a quiet diner. He opened the door for her, nodded to the hostess, and said, "Table for 2 and a high chair." Inside, warmth settled into her bones. Her shoulders fell. She hadn't realized how tightly she'd been holding them. He ordered soup, hot tea, formula, diapers. No questions. Then finally, "My mom was on the street once. With me. Someone helped her. Thought I'd return the favor." Emily blinked. Just once. But something shifted. Because sometimes, the smallest mercy, offered in silence, can save a life before the night is over. Just a few months ago, life looked different. Emily lived in a small but cozy home. The walls were bare, the couch secondhand, but it was hers. The kitchen smelled of cinnamon and warm coffee. And she was in love. They didn't have much, but they had each other. At least, that's what she believed. That morning, she'd made breakfast, eggs, toast, the last bit of jam. Her heart raced as she rehearsed the words she'd say. When he walked in, she couldn't hold it in any longer. "I'm pregnant." She expected shock, maybe silence, even worry. But what followed cut deeper than she was prepared for. He froze. No smile. No questions. Then, with a scoff, he pushed back from the table. "It's not mine." She laughed, thinking he was joking. But he wasn't. His eyes were hard, cold, like he'd been waiting for an excuse. "You've ruined everything," he muttered. "You can't stay here." Emily blinked. "But this is our baby." He grabbed his keys. "You need to go." The room felt smaller. Air, thinner. She stood there, hand on her belly, watching the man she trusted become a stranger in a single breath. She called her parents. She didn't want to, but she had nowhere else to turn. Her father answered. "What did I tell you?" he snapped. "You left for him. Now deal with it." Her mother didn't even come on the line. Tears didn't fall right away. Shock numbed her. She packed slowly. A suitcase with clothes. baby booties she'd bought online, a sonogram photo folded into her coat pocket. No plan, just instincts. As she stepped out the front door, her reflection caught in the window. Tired eyes, one hand cradling the curve of her stomach. She didn't look broken, just betrayed. No one followed her. No one asked if she'd be okay. The neighborhood she once strolled through now felt colder. Her steps were hesitant, unsure. Every sound, every car door, every bark made her jump. She was alone. Bus stops, shelters, websites. She checked everything she could on her phone. But most options required things she no longer had: time, references, a stable address. Emily found a hostel that took in women for short stays. The room had no window, just a cot and a flickering lamp. But it was dry, and for now, it was safe. She lay there that first night, one hand on her belly, whispering promises to a child who hadn't even arrived. "I don't know how we'll do this," she said softly, "but I won't let you feel unwanted. Not for a second." Her dreams were smaller now. No more white fences or baby showers. No more shared coffee mugs or bedtime stories with two voices. Now, the dream was survival. A warm place. A healthy birth. A chance to start over. Love didn't live in that house anymore. But something else had taken its place: resolve. Emily had walked out into a world that wasn't waiting for her. But she wasn't looking for permission anymore. Emily moved through the city like a ghost, seen, but not acknowledged. Each morning, she rose from a thin mattress on a shelter floor, careful not to wake her baby. The shelter was loud, crowded, and filled with stories like hers. Different details, same struggle. She kept a list of places hiring entry-level workers: cafes, markets, cleaning services. She circled job ads and donated newspapers with a borrowed pen. But each time she showed up, the look was the same: eyes that flicked from her baby to her worn shoes and then back to the help wanted sign. "Come back when you're not distracted. We're not set up for kids. We'll call you." No one ever did. She'd never imagined this, standing outside a bakery, nose filled with the scent of fresh bread, stomach aching, while her baby whimpered softly against her chest. Sometimes she'd smile at strangers, hoping someone might ask if she needed help. Most just passed. Some glanced, then turned their heads. Others stared, whispered. Another one who made bad choices. She should have thought ahead. Why doesn't she get a job? She wanted to scream. "I'm trying." But what could she say that would make them care? Emily skipped meals. Days blurred. She used napkins to clean Noah's face and prayed the formula wouldn't run out before morning. Her only sweater wrapped around him each night as they slept on borrowed blankets. It never felt warm enough. The city didn't slow down for her. Cars honked. Phones rang. Umbrellas opened and closed as the weather turned colder. She watched a world in motion from the stillness of park benches, bus stops, alleyways. Her pride faded fast. The first time she held out her hand was the hardest. The shame burned. But no one needed food. That made it simple. Coins clinked. Some people gave without looking. Others tossed her judgment with their change. One woman sneered. "Maybe don't have kids you can't afford." Emily bit her tongue. The woman walked away, her perfume lingering longer than her compassion. Each night, she returned to the shelter. Sometimes they had a spot. Sometimes they didn't. On those nights, she found stairwells or train stations where other women huddled. They rarely spoke, just nodded. Understood. One evening, a man offered her a hotel room in exchange for a favor. She didn't respond, just held Noah closer and walked faster. She wasn't broken. Not yet. But she was tired in a way that sleep couldn't fix. Still, every morning, she got up and tried again. She wiped down her shoes, combed her hair, practiced her smile in the reflection of a bus window. She carried a crumpled resume in a plastic bag to keep it dry. All she needed was one yes. Just one. But the world offered silence. Noah cried through the nights, unsettled by the cold and the noise. She sang to him softly, songs from childhood, fragments of lullabies her mother used to hum. There were moments when she nearly gave in to despair, but then Noah would grip her finger with his tiny hand. And somehow, that was enough to keep going. She wasn't looking for a miracle, just a break, a chance to start somewhere. Because deep down, Emily believed, if she kept moving forward, even an inch at a time, something had to change. It had to. It was just past dawn when Emily reached the corner of 3rd and Maple. The streets were already busy. Cars, bikes, people in suits rushing toward their lives. She had no destination, only exhaustion. Her feet ached from too much walking and too little rest. Her arms burned from cradling Noah for hours on end. The diaper bag, once full of baby essentials, now sagged empty and damp. She found a narrow stretch of shade beside a coffee shop, just enough wall to lean against, just enough space to disappear. Her back slid down the bricks as she lowered herself to the ground, Noah tucked into her arms, his soft cries muffled by her coat. There was no more pretending, no more hoping someone would magically appear. That morning, she was ready to give up. Everything hurt, her body, her pride, her spirit. Her stomach had been hollow since the day before. She couldn't even remember her last real meal. Her fingers were stiff, her hair clung to her face, and every part of her was soaked in quiet defeat. People stepped around her like she was a puddle, a nuisance, a reminder of something they didn't want to see. And then, someone stopped. She didn't open her eyes at first. Maybe she was imagining it. No one stopped. No one ever did. But this time, the sound of footsteps didn't fade. A voice, calm and low, broke through the noise. "He's freezing." Emily looked up. A man in a dark tailored suit stood above her, blocking the sun. He didn't speak with pity. He didn't flinch when Noah whimpered louder. He didn't ask what she was doing there. He simply knelt, slowly, carefully, as though approaching a wounded animal. Without a word, he slipped off his jacket, dark wool, freshly pressed, and wrapped it around the baby. Noah immediately quieted, comforted by the sudden warmth. The man glanced at Emily. "Let me buy you both something warm." She hesitated. Was this real? Was this some trap? She'd heard the stories, offers that came with a price. But his eyes were steady. No hidden motives. No judgment. Just kindness. She nodded. They walked in silence into the cafe next door. The warmth inside hit her like a wave. She hadn't realized how cold she was until she felt the contrast. The scent of fresh coffee and toasted bread nearly made her dizzy. The man waved to the barista. "Soup. Sandwich. Something soft for the baby. And a cup of tea," he said. No rush. They sat near the window. He took the chair across from her, giving her space. Emily clutched Noah tightly, unsure what to say. She kept her eyes on the table. But he wasn't watching her like everyone else had. He was just there. Present. After a few quiet minutes, he spoke. "What's your name?" "Emily," she whispered. "And his?" "Noah." The man smiled gently. "Strong name." The food arrived. Emily ate slowly, unsure if she was allowed to. She fed Noah what she could, his tiny hands warming in the air. The tea made her chest feel light again. They didn't speak much more. But she noticed how he watched the baby, not with curiosity, but with memory. Later, as they stepped outside, she thanked him, holding his coat close to her chest. He stopped her with a nod. "My name's Michael." She looked up. "I run a foundation. Safe housing. Training. Childcare. For women starting over. If you want a place to sleep tonight, you'll have one." Her breath caught. "I can't pay. I'm not asking you to." Her lips trembled. Not from cold, but from something she hadn't felt in a long time. Relief. That night, Emily and Noah lay in a real bed, clean sheets, soft pillows, and quiet. No trains, no sirens, no strangers in the shadows. She cried as Noah slept soundly for the first time in days. Michael wasn't just wealthy. He was someone who remembered. Raised in foster care. Abandoned young. He knew what it meant to be forgotten. He remembered cold nights in churches and back seats of cars. He remembered stealing food from vending machines just to make it through school. He remembered his mother's silence. Her fear. Her strength. His success hadn't erased those memories. It had fueled him. He'd built his company from scratch, but the foundation he created afterward mattered more. Not charity. Opportunity. Emily wasn't a case. She was a person, and for the first time in a long time, she felt like one. Weeks passed, then months. Emily began training through the program. Digital skills, resume building, job placement. Michael's team helped with daycare, transportation, even therapy sessions. No pressure, just guidance. She met other women, mothers, students, survivors. They shared meals, traded advice, held each other's babies when someone needed a break. Each week, Emily stood a little straighter, spoke a little louder, smiled a little more. Noah started crawling, then babbling. Emily started working part-time, building confidence she hadn't known she had. She even returned Michael's jacket, freshly cleaned. "You didn't have to," he said. I needed to, she replied. Her story wasn't perfect. There were setbacks, nights she still cried, moments she doubted everything. But she no longer lived in fear. She lived in motion. She lived with purpose. And for the first time in forever, the future didn't look like a threat. It looked like a promise. 1 year later, Emily walked through the city with a purpose in her stride. Same streets, same skyline. But everything was different now. She wore a simple blouse, black trousers, and comfortable heels. Her hair was tied back neatly, and a slim ID badge clipped to her blazer read, Emily Carter, Outreach Coordinator. Her steps led her to the corner daycare center, where colorful murals danced across the windows and laughter spilled out the doors. Inside, Noah ran to her, arms wide, cheeks flushed with joy. He was taller now, louder, bright-eyed and healthy. Emily scooped him into her arms, pressing a kiss to his forehead as he clung to her like he always did. This moment, ordinary to others, was everything to her. After months of uncertainty, of cold nights and hollow days, life had shifted. Not with one giant leap, but with steady, quiet steps. Emily now had a job she loved. She worked with women like herself, women who had been overlooked, underestimated, and left behind. She didn't just offer them food or clothes. She offered them a roadmap out of the dark, the same one someone once offered her. Her apartment was modest, just 2 rooms and a balcony, but it was hers. There were toys on the floor, magnets on the fridge, and tiny handprints on every glass surface. It was chaos. And it was home. She'd painted one wall yellow because Noah liked the sun. She strung up photos above his crib, their first night in the shelter, his first birthday, his first steps. Proof that even in broken seasons, joy could take root. Every winter, Emily returned to the shelter with armfuls of donated jackets. Not because she'd forgotten how it felt to be cold, but because she remembered too well. She never stayed long, just enough to speak with the women sitting on the edges of hope, to remind them they weren't invisible. She didn't share her full story often, but when she did, eyes lit up, because she wasn't just speaking about survival. She was standing in the proof of what survival could become. In meetings, she spoke with confidence. In interviews, she encouraged others. At night, she read Noah bedtime stories with voices and sound effects that made him laugh until he fell asleep. There were still tough days, rushed mornings, tight budgets, moments when the past echoed too loudly. But they no longer defined her. She was no longer the girl on the sidewalk. She was a mother, a mentor, and a woman who'd learned that even the smallest act of kindness can flip the course of a life. Emily didn't believe in miracles anymore. She believed in people. And she believed in showing up for them, just like someone once did for her. The street was quiet as the morning rush faded. Rainwater pooled in shallow gutters, catching flashes of passing headlights. People walked with purpose, eyes fixed ahead, unaware of the story unfolding just feet away. Michael stood for a moment outside a quiet corner cafe, one hand in his coat pocket, the other gripping a folded receipt. Inside, Emily and Noah were safe, warm, full, and moving forward. He didn't linger. He never did. Without a word, he turned and stepped back into the city, blending into the crowd like anyone else. No camera followed. No applause waited. Just the steady rhythm of footsteps and the muted echo of distant traffic. A few blocks down, a young woman sat curled near a storefront. Her knees hugged her chest. A child no older than 2 sat beside her, silently gnawing on his thumb. A worn backpack and a cardboard sign lay at her feet. Michael glanced only once. That was all he needed. He'd seen that posture before. That silence. That exhaustion that screams without sound. He paused, removed his coat, and gently draped it over the child. No fanfare. No questions. Keep him warm, he said quietly. The woman looked up, startled. Their eyes met for a brief second. Enough to know he meant it. Then he offered a nod and walked on. Not because he didn't care, but because he knew, sometimes, help doesn't come in speeches or promises. Sometimes, it's just the next quiet gesture. The next hand that doesn't close. The next moment that doesn't pass you by. Michael never asked for thanks. He didn't want his name on plaques or his face on magazine covers. He believed in doing the thing you can, when you can, for whoever needs it. Because someone once did the same for him. A stranger who gave him a pair of shoes on a freezing night. A neighbor who slipped bread into his bag when there wasn't enough. A teacher who told him he was more than what he came from. He remembered every one of them. And now, he paid it forward, not with grand gestures, but with presence. With action. Quiet, consistent, human. He walked away unnoticed. The city carried on, and maybe, to most, he was just another man in a suit. But for someone in that moment, he was the break between despair and hope. Because sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can become someone's miracle. If you enjoyed this story, ensure to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing, heartfelt stories like this. Also, let us know where you're watching from, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters. What did you think of Emily's journey from heartbreak to hope? How did Noah's smile make you feel? And what about Michael, the quiet millionaire whose small act changed everything? Stories like theirs remind us that kindness still exists. Let us know if you've ever experienced or witnessed a moment like this. We'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.